Welcome to PPR Tool Time, your industry podcast, tools, reviews, and stories. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of PDR Tool Time. And tonight, my guest is John Rinstum and myself, Daniel Grom. Vince had a little bit of an emergency, so he's off taking care of that. He had some plumbing issues.
Plumbing emergency.
Unit, so he's being a slumlord tonight. How you doing, John?
Oh, I'm doing great. Doing wonderful. Yeah, it was great to see that, this time Vince has a plumbing emergency at a house.
Right. So we're going to bring you a great show. We're going to be talking about a few things. One, closing the deal. Also, diving into Mobile Tech RX. I don't know if a lot of people dive into reports, but I wanted to talk. I've got John here, so I want to pick his brain about utilizing more features in Mobile Tech RX. So we're going to dive into that a little bit. And I've got a few tools. I'll tell you guys about what my first thoughts are. And so let's start it off with closing the deal with estimates is so important. But the challenge is that there's so many different styles of dent guys out there. You have the route guy, you have the retail guy that's not in a
brick and mortar store. Yeah, you got the mobile guy, the brick and mortar store.
Then you got like you, Hail guy.
Hail, which can be a tent, renting a random shop in a random town, or at the local guy's retail store.
So we're going to kind of talk a little bit about those things. I'll start things off and start it with this. Is one of the things that when I opened up my shop, the shop that I'm in now, I opened up in 2007. I bought my building. So I went out to basically design it the way I wanted. I wanted to take a lot of pride in what the shop was going to look like. And I did a lot of research and I wanted to, so when people walked in, they got a good feeling when they walked into the shop. I'm sorry, but that helps me with closing the deal. If I've got a clean and organized shop, if I got a clean bathroom, I got a nice reception area, and that's air conditioning, and all that helps close the deal, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The shop I'm in now is set up like that. Super clean, really nice building. The shop part where we're fixing cars is separate from the office. And when people walk in, they feel like they're not stepping into a cave.
Right.
But stepping into a facility where they're happy to spend their money.
Yeah. And then, of course, the way you appear, and, I hear so many guys out there, joking about Jim Bob wearing a wife beater t-shirt and coming up and say, yeah, I'm your dent guy. That doesn't work anymore. We got a competitive world. And so your presence, if you're a mobile guy, your presence online, because that's how they're usually meeting you. Right now I'm listening to a lot of podcasts on marketing, and, getting your presence out there is the first impression. And this all comes under first impression. That's the first thing that kind of helps you lock in that deal. And you'll usually hear come from customers, oh, I seen your, videos on YouTube. And then they think they know you. And that just helps you close that deal even easier, or if it's a referral or whatever it might be. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And And the big thing for me, and I keep saying it, and it's like beating a dead horse, but Mobile Tech RX is part of that whole thing, and just making you look professional. You know, being able to whip out a tablet or your phone, scanning the VIN, they automatically get that impression that you're a professional because you're all computerized and organized.
And you're using the same devices that rule their whole world. We've talked about it before a great many times, but everybody in our society is face down in a tablet and a phone at kind of all times.
Yeah.
We live through them for work. Heck, I'm up here in Wyoming and I manage my employees in San Antonio, Texas.
Yeah. I got a comment a couple of days ago from a customer, a longtime customer, and he made a comment that made me cringe. He goes, he's seeing me doing the estimate on the tablet and scanning the VIN, and he goes, "Oh, I remember just driving up and you guys saying, yeah, do it for $100." And I heard that and I was just like cringing, and I'm like, oh, I hate that. And if I could start over, I mean, the young guys that are out there that have Mobile Tech RX or available and they're not utilizing it, get on it right away, because you don't want to have to, recondition your customers.
Yeah. No reconditioning, but also the other thing is your close percentage at a higher dollar amount has increased. Even here where I'm at in Wyoming, I just had this conversation actually when you and I earlier today were going through our show notes about what we're going to talk about tonight, and I was going back through those reports and I was talking with him about it, and I was showing him how he could use those reports, and he started talking about precedent, the dollar amounts that he's getting. He said, "Yeah, I wrote an estimate yesterday, 560, and they signed on the spot. We're going to fix it." 2 years ago, he said, I would have told him $300.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I would have closed it, even at $300, because you're shooting it off the top of your head. And here he's measuring, he's looking, he's punching it all in. When they're reading it, they're reading down through. One of the things I do in a retail aspect, I'm a horrible speller. If you've seen me type on Facebook, just know there's a Webster's dictionary sitting beside me. Okay. I look stuff up and I don't trust spell check. So
didn't you know all Dentecs are dyslexic?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we're all that way.
So
maybe Shane Jacks. Shane Jacks is like,
yeah, he's Captain Smooth. But spelling somebody's name in today's world, the United States, we are so diverse. It's not just Tom, Dix, and Harry's anymore. Our society is so diverse. What I've done is I'll bring up the client section and I will hand my device to that customer and let them fill in their name, address, and email. Then I never have to ask them how to spell their name 2 or 3 times. While they're doing that, I'm setting my light up and getting things ready to look at the car. And then as soon as they're done, I bring it back. I make sure all other information is good. And then I go right into my estimate. Man, people get giddy about doing that. Like, oh, I only ever get to touch my phone. Now I get to touch yours, and it's weird. It changed my relationship with my customers. It was very strange.
So moving on to actually, if you get any objections, and that's just it, is since I've moved to Mobile Tech RX, I get less blowback. I get less people just saying, "Oh, that's too much money." I mean, I just don't see it. And but when I do, a couple closing techniques I can do is I always try to put in some kind of factor, because if you can put in a factor, it's got a scrollable percentage, and it's only the percentage of that factor, not on the original dent price. So let's say your original dent price is $150, and then you had a factor of high strength steel, 25%. Then you can tell the customer, you know what, I can give you a discount. And you go into the factor section and you scroll that factor section down to 10%. I just gave him a 15% discount. Now I gave him a 15% discount over the factor, not on the $150 dent.
Yeah.
And so they feel good and they win. And that's the first thing I can do to close a deal.
Absolutely. On the door dent stuff, now my years of experience on the door dents, closing the door dents is definitely a old thing. So mine not coming at it from hail. And now I think when we were talking earlier, Daniel, you said you don't have a lot of dent companies around you, correct?
I do, but they're all mobile. They're all basically servicing all the body shops and dealers. So they're really not going after the retail market. I had one guy, and I put him out of business, so he's gone now.
So you're the only real brick and mortar store, and I've seen photos of your shop. You guys got a killer shop.
Yeah, and we're kind of in a corridor. So California, we have mountains like on both sides. So we're kind of in the valley, and it runs north to south, and people tend to stay in there. So if you go over the next mountain range, then you're into the Ian Cordell's neck of the woods. So that's a good 45-minute drive to get over to Napa. So it's too far for people to go to get their car fixed. So it kind of separates us. So I don't really, and honestly, if they went over the hill to Ian's, I wouldn't have any problem because I know Ian's on Mobile Tech RX and he'd be charging the same price I am.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, you know what Mobile Tech RX needs to do?
What's that?
Have a mobile training station. Just you pay some young kid to just drive around the country. I'd love to have them stop here and train all the dent guys in my area to use Mobile Tech RX so they can get their prices up and we can all make a little bit more money. If you just had that guy going all over the country, it'd be way better for everybody.
I try to be that guy at times whenever I can in the off season. Meet as many guys as I can, demo as much as I can. But we are actually getting ready to hire a sales training team as well. We're actively interviewing people for that position.
Nice.
So yeah, so it's coming. We're working on it.
Yeah.
But going back to closing, so Mike, he not being here, and it's tough to pick his brain. He closes a lot with text messages. Have you run down that road?
You know what? I played with it a little bit. I played with Mike's system. The challenge is I get more money when I get that person in front of me. And, he's dealing with a lot more competition than I am.
Sure.
Him being down in San Diego. So and same with Vince. And so
that texting is like his competitive edge.
You're right. And that he gets back to people so fast. And it's, the first interactions are automated. So until that customer sends a photo, he doesn't actually talk to somebody, but the people think they're already talking to him. And so it's a great system, but I would argue that I'll get more money than he will based off of a text, because then that person's got shopping power,
Yeah.
And you don't have any influence when they see you, see your shop, see how clean it is, see that you have other services.
Sure.
And that's the only downside I see with that. But but it works for him. It works for his area. He's got multiple guys working for him. And so he's mostly handling the estimates so he can just feed them to his sales team. So it's all about numbers for him.
Yeah.
And, in that kind of a situation, that's probably the best way to handle it for sure.
Yeah. It's funny when him and I text about the mega media stuff. My first text to him will get the automated response.
Yeah.
And it always makes me giggle. It's like, well, I'm not buying today, mister.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the other things that I try to utilize in closing a deal is I'll look at the person's car and I'll use touching up as a closing tool. I'll use polishing headlights as a closing tool. I don't call it polishing. I call it cleaning.
Right.
Because my detailer actually does, they do the whole wet sanding and polishing and making it absolutely stellar perfect. But taking 5 minutes, put some compound on a headlight and cleaning it takes me 5 minutes to do, and it makes a good enough impression and it looks good. So I'll use that as a closing tool, polishing the dent or getting rid of, a transfer scuff or whatever. I'll use those kind of things because those things I can throw in for free as a closing deal.
Okay. That's great.
And then
for hail?
And then in hails, and all these guys in hail, tell me about what that experience is like. And like, if you're obviously in a town with other hail guys, and they've got the free estimate signs and stuff like that. And I argument, man, we need to charge for our estimates. And so, what's your opinion on all that?
Well, everybody's marketing tool is going to be their marketing tool, whether, if they're going to give away stuff for free, whether it be iPads, TVs, window tints, remote starts.
They're giving iPads away? Oh,
yeah. Yeah. I just wish they would start putting mobile tech on them, and really get that out, But, so I've seen it all. I've worked in retail shops that there's the tents downtown, the semis, a highly competitive field. And quite honestly, I close and I look for the customer that's paying everything. So if I have somebody, I've been a great salesman for a lot of tents working in a retail shop because I've sent everybody who couldn't afford anything. And that's where I sent them. Mm-hmm. I know it sounds mean, especially, being that I'm one of the owners of Mobile Tech RX, and now I try to sell my software to that same guy that I sent every broke person to. But that was one of my sales tactics. It's like, I'm sorry, I am locked in a corporate agreement. I have to charge you your deductible. But, that guy downtown is going to be great. And the idea behind me doing that was I would get the high-end customers and get rid of the low end. And it kept our numbers up, and I had zero problem closing with the high end. It's just some of the other customers, and I followed Shane Jack's advice. We watched it unfold last year on Facebook. Shane Jack's did what he preached, and that was he protected his market. So if I'm working for a local company, that's who I represent. I'm representing that local business as though it is my own. So if somebody wants to know why I'm not giving the iPad or the TV or the remote start like the tent is downtown, why it is that I'm charging the deductible, I tell them, look, you see this building? This building's no different than your house. We have to pay taxes on this building. We have to pay insurance on this building. We have to pay commercial rates for the electricity, the gas, all of those things, and we're here year round. And it makes it's an easy close for me. I've been doing it for 14 years on the road, It just gets in there. It speaks to the people. I'm like, hey, if you're going to hire a plumber, would you hire a plumber that's blowing through town?
Right.
Not going to be here tomorrow. And he's going to do work. This is your second highest investment. Your car is your second highest investment. God forbid something go wrong, but what if there is an issue? What if you hear a rattle? What if the taillight's suddenly not working? Who are you going to take it back to when that's a big empty field?
What if you are the out of town guy though? You can't.
So now I've been the out of town guy too. So, and 14 years of hail, and what you tell, I'm closing in a whole different mannerism. Hey, we're here to help you. We come in here, so many people, when you go into a hailstorm and the hail hits a town, it overloads everything. The local body shops, the local PDR companies, everybody. It's just, so we come in and we're able to lease this location and we can get you in, get you repaired. We still offer our nationwide warranty, and that's how I sell from a tent. Now, I've never gone down the road of the giveaways. Personally, I never have. Yeah, the biggest thing I give away is T-shirts and a pin.
Yeah, that seems a little bit scammy. I think a lot of people are going to the higher end people are going to stay away from that stuff. They're going to go, oh, it's going to be the cheapest, lowest, TV or whatever, electronic.
And that's probably why I've stayed away from it too. Is I've always dealt with the little bit higher ended customer and their expectations of how I handle myself. It adds to that. It adds to your nature. So. But yeah, I've sold both, and I've talked smack about each side of it, and I've been in every position. But it's part of my job when I'm on the road.
Yeah, and when do you ever go dive into your expertise or your tools, or using any of that kind of stuff as a closing tool?
Oh, absolutely. I've even done demo dents. If I have a hood set up on a stand, I've happily invited the customer back, here, let me demonstrate what it is that I'm doing, how it, the effect that it has, show them the backside of the panel. Still, even all these years later, especially when you get people from, in their 50s and up, oh, the headliner. Once you pull the headliner free from those locking tabs, you can't ever get it right, and then you take them back, you show them a headliner laying down, and now it's a giant fiberglass tray. And it's not a piece of cloth stretched out over a 68 Impala set of roof bows. So yeah, I've demonstrated cars apart. I've walked people through the whole process. The only thing I will not do, and I've had several people try, is I will not do demo dents on their car.
Gotcha.
And it's the same doing door dents, Well, I just don't believe you could fix it. So maybe if you would just fix that dent, then I can decide if I want to come back and pay you to fix that dent.
Yeah, that's never going to work.
Nah, absolutely not. Yeah, it just doesn't fly.
Yeah. So I had a funny thing today. Guy comes in with a SUV, and it was a good sized dent. It was like a $700 dent in the hatchback, and he dropped. I did an estimate last week. He drops it off today. I open up the hatchback, and there's the K-Tel glue pulling dent system. And I laugh. I mean, if you would have saw the size of this dent, and the biggest tab they have is like a quarter on the little kit.
He probably pulled it out and looked at the dent, looked at the equipment, looked at the dent, put it away.
Yeah, it was funny, man. I took a picture of it and posted it. It was comical.
Now, I did have a hail customer one time offer to trade me one of those for money off his deductible. I told him I was going to charge him a disposal fee if he removed it from the car.
Yeah. I tell them I've got a whole box full of them that customers drop off here after they get their dent fixed with me.
Yeah.
Put in the box with everybody else's.
Now, have you closed anybody over the phone on the retail aspect?
I try not to. I do everything. I go into, well, sir, I don't know if your car is high strength steel, if it's aluminum or super high strength steel. Those are things that we test for. I use a dent gauge to see how deep the dent is, see if it's too stretched, if there's any intrusion beams, what the condition of the paint is, do I need to do any polishing? The nice thing about our facility, Mr. Customer, is we have a full-time detailer here, and I'm trained by him. If there's some polishing that needs to happen, you're getting it done here, one place. A lot of your mobile guys, they don't carry that kind of equipment with them. At least around here, they don't. They don't believe in that kind of stuff. It's pretty easy for me to arm myself. And
your goal is to get them in the shop.
Yeah. I tell people, go to my website, check their Yelp reviews, check the Google reviews. I'm at the top. If you're looking for the best, you found the right guy. And that usually gets them in the door. And then once I got them here, then it's usually over. Yesterday, we did over 14 estimates yesterday.
Wow.
Which is a pretty good, busy day.
What about selling on price? We see this talked about a lot on Facebook. Have you ever tried to sell on price?
No, I go by price a dent. I say, here it is. And since we moved to Mobile Tech RX, I just don't get any arguments. I had a lady yesterday drop off a car, and she's like, do you give multiple car discounts? And I go, well, it depends. I need to see the other car. I could possibly do that on the second car. I can't do it on this one, but you bring me the second car and I'll do my best for you on that. And, I'll do the things that I just talked to before this. I'll use the slider on the factors to discount, factors, not the whole dent. And, I'll throw something in, or I'll make them feel like they win, because sometimes it's just about winning the argument. If they can just get a little bit of break, and oftentimes it doesn't matter what the amount is. Yeah,
that's what I found.
Yeah.
I actually closed a customer while she was on the phone with my competition, and my estimate was 3 times higher than my competition.
Yeah. People, and the thing is I'll be honest with you. I probably, the ones that have gotten an estimate from somebody else and mine is so much higher, that makes them question the other guy, not me. They question the other guy.
That's what I found in my end of the hail aspect of it too. Cheap, in my customer's opinion, too cheap is a problem.
Yeah. And that's easy to argue with. You go, yeah, Mr. Customer, I understand. That's what some irreputable companies do, is they give you a low estimate and then they go back for supplements to your insurance company. I try not to do that. You do run into surprises every once in a while, but I try to write a very accurate estimate and make sure I get the job done right. You want the job done right, Mr. Customer? Yeah, of course. You get them agreeing to stuff that they can't argue about. Like, you want the job right. There's only one answer to that. Yes, I want the job done right. Nobody wants the job done wrong. They're not going to say, no, of course, I want it wrong.
Well, and generally the customer is like, hey, you don't have to make it perfect. they're shopping on price, and I guys like that straight out the door, I just tell them right away that, look, I'm not going to be your cheapest.
Yeah, what I say to those customers, I go, well, I usually try to make it a little bit better than perfect.
That's nice. That's nice.
And it makes them laugh. They get it.
Yeah.
So, and or when I get done with the vehicle and they go, how did it turn out? And I throw that out. Yeah, it came out a little bit better than perfect. They laugh.
Straighter than when they left the factory.
Yep.
Factory doesn't care about your car.
So, all right. Well, those are a few of our tips of what you guys can do to close those deals. I want to move on a little bit. I got some new tools.
Yeah, tell me about this.
So I got the Steiner mini pirate hook, and I got to tell you, that is becoming extremely useful. It's smaller, more nimble, but God, the thing is so strong. I can't believe, and I think it's about 5/16 round stock.
Okay.
So it's very stouty, very little flex, but I'm able to stick it into small factory holes. And today I was working on a truck bed with it, and it was a significant dent, but it was a crease kind of at a 45-degree angle. And the only bad thing about the pirate hook is you got to be kind of angled just right to be able to use it.
Yeah, because you're not doing the brute force push.
No,
it's more of a manipulation rocking motion.
You push down and then you twist. So you give it some pressure and then you twist, and you're walking the edge of the tool. And what it does is it actually puts a very, very significant crease, an opposite crease, basically. So it's actually better for sharper creases than dull creases.
Okay.
So on a sharper crease, it really shines because it really brings out that center in a couple sweeps. It's pretty amazing.
Interesting.
But the smaller tool just seems to be a little bit more friendly for me to whip around and get to areas. And then, they told me that it's a multi-tool, so using the heel and then using the tips. So I'm starting to play with that a little bit more, and I'm starting to get a little bit more comfortable with using the tip, because the tip is very sharp. So you got that sharp tip. You can use the heel, and it's very dull for pushes. And
so you can do some starting, some really tight tip finish work.
Yeah. So it really is a multiple tool, but you got to get used to it. It's not something that you're going to take out of the bag right from the get-go and be like, oh, this is like my favorite tool. It's one you got to get comfortable with.
You need to spend some time with.
What's that?
A tool you're going to have to spend some time with.
Right.
Work with it. Force yourself to use it, because once you use it, then you're going to start saving time with it.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
Definitely. And then I got the Finger, which is one of Steiner's tools that A1 Mix, and it was like $125, I think. And this thing is kind of just a straight rod, regular push rod, with a very slight angle to it. It's got a different shape on the tip. It's kind of a more rounder tip on it. And I went through a factory hole on a truck right where the body line is. Basically, I went through the wiring harness, and there was a dent that ran right along the body line, and the body line was crushed. And I took this tool in there and I kind of just dragged it on that byline, brought that byline out in a couple sweeps, just by dragging it. And then I turned it over, used the heel for softer pushes, and then flipped it back over for the tip of the tool and used it as a regular pick. And so it works out really well if your opening that you're going through is really close to the panel. But it's a really stout tool, really well made. It feels just like all their other tools. So A1 did a good job on this thing. Really like it. So those are the new Steinlander stuff that I've been getting used to.
A1 builds some good tools. I've got a really good long run on the tequila hand tools from Anson, the collaboration with Anson and A1. And we talked about this last week a little bit. I just finished up today the F-150, the beaten one. It was just crushed. And the tequila hand tools came in really handy on that roof and the doors. I had the doors off, set up on stands. And the rail I had to do, that was a combination of the tequila tabs and the hog glue. The hog glue just killed that. I was getting stronger pulls with the hog glue on this aluminum rail than I did with my tab weld glue tracks mix.
Nice.
So, I mean, we're talking 4-inch wide. The paint was blowing off inside the door jamb. The dents were so deep. And I was able to get that whole rail out on a push for paint, and I got that whole rail flat. Even the guys that I was working with couldn't believe that I was able to do all those glue pulls. And it took me 4 hours to do the whole rail and down the cab corner, and that rail is only 2.5 inches wide. And these dents were just deep and sharp. And I was able to get just solid pulls. I'm using a slide hammer with the spring in it. That's from Anson. I'm not sure who makes that slide hammer.
Is it red?
No, it's not the Pole Dog. This one's all stainless. It was on Michael's truck last summer, and I was like, I just got to try that.
Oh, is it the lightweight one? The real lightweight one?
It's a lighter weight one. It's got the adjustable. It looks very similar to the Pole Dog. In fact, maybe it's a Pole Dog knockoff for all I know. Michael had it on the truck, and I needed something different. I was having problems on the Fords, and this has been talked about in a lot of different groups too. Really aggressive with the old A1 slide hammer, and I was pulling a lot more paint. You're just shocking it way too hard on that aluminum. The glues are so aggressive that we have now. The tabs, oh man, some of the tabs we've gone through, tequila, root beer, the black ice, the gangrenes. All of these tabs are just phenomenal hooking up tabs. In fact, I finally broke my one of my last blue ices on this Ford. So our black ice, sorry about that.
Mm-hmm.
But pulling these out, and the guys in the shop just were blown away enough that they actually got with Anson and ordered a packet of hog glue to start using here, because they're just like, that's insane what you're doing on aluminum with that.
What's your temperature there?
I'm starting out in the mornings in the 50s, and today we ended at 95, but we've got a swamp cooler running to keep the shop cool. So we're holding inside the building, we're holding around early 70s.
Okay.
Pretty much all day long. Humidity is down low. So I get in that, roughly 30-second setup time. The hog glue likes a little bit longer setup time.
Yeah, it does.
But man, the power in the pulls is just insane. Now, I pulled paint in 3 locations on that rail. But like I said, paint was already busted off in 4 different spots.
Gotcha.
And we're talking deep.
Was it factory paint?
Yes.
Okay.
And the dents were so ridiculously deep and large and long that you couldn't even get an accurate depth measurement. You would have had to build a bridge.
What kind of car was it?
F-150.
Okay.
Yeah, the Ford F-150. In fact, man, everything on this truck, I did the roof as a pusher paint, which I don't recommend. This was, at the end I say don't do stupid stuff. And that comes from experience, Daniel. I do a lot of stupid stuff. And doing this roof, even the guy that I'm working for was like, I'm sorry, I never should have agreed to put you up here. We should have made him cut this roof off. But I pushed it out. But, man, I tell you what, if I had to beat on this truck any harder, I was going to need a sleeveless shirt. The back of my hair was going to grow really long, and there was going to be a Trans Am on blocks out front. I mean, it was I was just beaten like crazy. Everything on this truck was just whipped. I glassed out the sides and the roof. The only thing we did was make sure that he didn't have to mud it. So the idea was get it flat, but we had to leave them just tightly wadded up. Otherwise, they would have been stretched. The guy that I was working with was trying to show that we could do it perfect and flat, and it oil canned in such a large area. I really had to do a lot of work to shrink up that oil can.
And do you have a power PDR box yet?
I do have a power PDR box, and in fact, I just shrank the roof on an entire Avalanche with that. Huge dents, 6 inches across. Shrank that Avalanche up just quick and slick.
So I just ordered mine yesterday, so I'm hoping to get it soon because I had that one hail car, and it's probably my only hail car I'll get this year, but it had one dent that was oil canning on me, and I was like, God, I wish I had that thing. But I don't think it would have helped me because it was right underneath a brace, but it was one of those flimsy braces, so I might have been able to like stretch it.
I hear that. Honestly, this is what I do. I take 2 window wedges, and if the glue is out, or in between the glue spot, I put the 2 window wedges and I separate that skin. Take a paint paddle, an old whale tail, anything, put the sticky sandpaper on it, sand it off, and then I've got a solid copper wire that goes onto the power PDR, the big dent machine.
Okay.
And then I tape the edge of the brace up, and then I get in there and I shrink it.
There's
now,
your tech
obviously,
tip, man.
yeah, you can't do that for everything. You can't do that
right
against the windshield, against the back glass. An Audi hood, with the braces 6 or 8 inches wide. There's limitations, but on a roof and you got that 3-inch wide brace, throw the wedges in there, get that space, get the shrink up, drop it down, restore the E-coat, move on with life, profit.
So one of the things I did yesterday, my Snap-on guy came by, and I have a nice little air-powered die grinder, and I asked him if he has an extension for that die grinder, and they did. And so I have it's probably about a 7-inch extension that goes onto the die grinder. So like if you're in maybe the quarter panel and you've got some bracing kind of in your way or whatever with that extension, and then I use the quick pads that just twist on. They're the green what's that material?
Are they the Roloc bristle disc, or are they like the Scotch Brite?
It's kind of the Scotch Brite.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That takes off the paint quicker, faster, and cooler than sandpaper or anything else. It's flexible, so you can take it at different angles, and it's pretty forgiving. But it takes it off really nice and smooth. Because one of the things I learned from Vince is he started using something more aggressive, and it grooved the metal. And then when he was using the power PDR box, it would catch on those grooves. It wasn't smooth, so you want that inner surface smooth.
Yep, I use the same thing, and I have an adapter, and it goes right into my small impact, a hex head adapter.
Okay.
And I drop it right into my little impact, which spins at 3,000 RPMs.
There you go.
And I have them in sealed Ziploc bags, and one of them's for aluminum and one of them's for steel. That way I never intermix what I'm doing the material removal with.
Right. Good deal. All right. Well, I think that brings us to a good ending there.
Yeah.
What do you think?
We want to go through some reports real quick?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Thanks. All right.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
One of the things I was curious about is, you know, can you look at your closing ratios on Mobile Tech RX? So, for instance, how many estimates I wrote today? Can I look at that easily?
Well, yeah, you looking at how many estimates you wrote per day when you're in the main estimate screen and you see that bar, like I'm on a tablet right now. So on the phone, it'll look just a little bit different. So I'll pop it up on the phone as well. But across the top, those line items are all sortable. So when you're in on the phone end of it, you're going to see the filter and the sort up there at the top next to the search bar. On the tablet, it's a black bar, and you can adjust that search in any way, shape, or form. But right here, if we go into our closed estimate screen on either device, you're going to have the ability, and on the tablet, this shows. Now the phone, I think you have to go into the sort and it takes a bit more work to sort it through. But if you pop it up on a tablet, one of the things you're going to look at, this is for route techs, the guys that work all the dealership deals that are using Mobile Tech RX. You're putting all your cars on a single estimate. And then you take it into the service manager, they approve and decline, go through the list. At the bottom on the tablets is a running total of estimated total and totals approved. And when you add that ability along with the filters, you can narrow down by one of your retail, say a dealership, say Joe's dealership, and you can actually see every week I go in there and I write $2,000 worth of cars every single week, and they only approve half of that every single time. And it's right there in your list. So then you know, well, I only close 50% of that customer. And you can compare all of your retail customers. You can just scroll through on the filter each of your retail, and you can actually sort them out by retail and wholesale. So you can have all of your wholesale clients in there and look across their names and see how much you're doing for each of those and what your close percentage is. And if you got one that's really, really dragging down, maybe it's a client you don't really want to service.
Right, cut them loose, man.
Yeah, you're better off. So right there is a very fast, simple way of measuring your wholesale clients' close ratio.
Yeah, nice. I like it. Can you compare, like in a retail location like mine, can you compare the customers I wrote? No, there's no way to. See, this is why I think you guys need a calendar system in there. Because if we had a calendar built into this, then I'd be able to see how many I'm making appointments with.
Sure. Compare the number of appointments versus the number of actual clients' cars repaired. Yeah. Calendar's coming. It's all being worked on now.
Yeah. So, that's going to be good.
But you can. Right now, even if you do have a separate calendar system that's easy to get into and look back through, and I'm not just talking paper, but a digital calendar that you can look back to. As long as you're the admin in the system, you can go down to the accounting tab and go over into, I got to bring it up on my phone here. I'm in as a subcontractor. Amateur hour, amateur hour. All right, so you go down to the accounting tabs and you go into the reports. You're going to see at the top of the screen, both phone and tablet, you're going to see sales, payables, and services. So you can use that sales, and you can go on the client section and you can sort them on your retail clients, and you can sort by your days. So you could say, I want to know what I closed all month in May for my retail clients. And you can sort that down, and you can look how many customers you had during that month of May. All the cars that you, all the closed invoices, and then compare that to, all right, how many estimates did I write? You know, someday we'll finally get this all merged together inside of Mobile Tech RX. But for now, this is how you can bounce back and forth between your two systems, and you can visually see it. The other thing that I was talking about with the guy that I'm working for is when you go into that services screen that you're going to see, that services screen shows you PDR, which is your route work, the hail, price ident, R&I, parts, wheels, paint, and miscellaneous. So you can actually run that, say, for a year in total. You could go in there right before the new year. You can look at that, and you can compare which of your services brought in the most money. Say, like you, Daniel, you're not going to have a ton of hail, but you can see, man, what hail I did really paid well, but I really smoked it on the price ident, which is what these guys here have learned. Their close ratio using price ident has gone up drastically, and it's going to start overtaking any of their dealer work. So now they're going to increase that. They're actually looking at attending the Mega Media event, learning how to market at a much greater level. He's paying a marketing company an ungodly amount of money right now. Going to turn that around, and he's seeing that value of price ident. He already knows what he can do on hail, but the other thing that they never track, nobody ever tracks it, the R&Is. Man, did my company smoke it for R&I work? You know, what am I charging? Man, I did all of this price ident stuff, and I took all these doors apart, but I didn't charge anything for it. Well, there's a missing revenue stream.
Yeah.
Try to get those R&I numbers up. Miscellaneous. For the hail guys, when you're sorting through, you want to see, you know, for hail, you want to see that big hail number, but you want to see good R&I numbers as well. Those R&I numbers can easily add up to $1,000 a ticket on a full hail car. But that miscellaneous section, if you don't have anything and that thing is zeroed out, you're not getting reimbursed for your office expenses, your glue tabs. Even you can put your hood retainer clips. You know, everybody goes through hood retainer clips. All of that, you should be seeing some numbers in that miscellaneous section.
Yeah, that's just found money.
Exactly.
That is.
Right. That's just missing money.
Get some of that.
Those of you that offer all the services, you can compare your wheels and paint. Maybe you're thinking, I don't know, man, we offer the paint touch-up, but we're not doing much. Well, run you a 6-month test.
Yeah.
Record everything right here. Come into the reports, go into the services section, and it'll tell you if you charged and had good money and it's a competitive dollar amount, well, then you know that's a feature you want to keep.
Absolutely. I agree.
So there's a few simple, fast reports that you can do in Mobile Tech that only takes 2-3 seconds. Click in, whether you're in your phone or your tablet. You can run those reports, check the overall health of your company. You can keep an eye on your employees. But know this, we are expanding this. I had a very long phone call with Damon Simmons yesterday, and him and I discussed a lot of these things. There's a whole list of things for the back office, too, for secretaries. I've been telling people for years we have a 5-page run-in tally of things to add in Mobile Tech, but in all reality, it's kind of 5 pages per service line of changes and upgrades, and including the back office. Back office portal has its own 5 pages. So it's massive, and that's why we're putting on some new employees right now, is it keeps growing faster than our guys can get it done. So it's time to scale up even bigger.
I'm definitely glad to hear that, because I got a preview of the stuff that's coming, and I can't wait. I just bring it out.
Yeah, there's a lot of great changes, and some of it's going to be going to tip through those reports, so you can keep that eye on the health of your company and the health of your services faster and cleaner.
You know, I keep an eye on my daily sales, and here's my tech tip. I know it makes a difference when I look at my daily numbers every single day. If I'm focused on it, there's months that I kind of lax, but when I do lax, I don't put down the numbers. And when I look at it, I'm like trying to squeeze every dollar. You know, I'll come back into the office and I'll say, "Hey, Tony, this guy's headlights are toast, man. Call him up and say we'll clean them for $25. I want that $25.
Yeah, get some extra money through the door.
And who's not going to say no to that? You know, it's a safety issue. You know, this poor little old lady's driving this Lexus, and her lights, you can barely see the light that comes through it. So tell her that and sell it, and she does, and that's just 25. You know.
Also, you guys with employees.
Huh?
The guys with employees, that ability in Mobile Tech RX for the employees to go in and check their daily totals.
Oh yeah.
Guys are figuring out that, man, they got their employees looking at that and seeing how much money they make every day and thinking, crap, if I finish this other car, that'll put me way over.
And if you're looking at them as a boss, and you know, you bring it up to your tech and say, hey, how come you only did, you know, $300 today? You know, he's either slacking off, going to the mall, or he's doing some stuff for cash. So if you stay on them, they're less likely to pull that kind of stuff.
And that's where the first set of reports that I showed you in those closed estimates too, as an employer, you can really look at that and see, okay, I have Jim over here serving this Tommy's car lot, and he's not close. They're only agreeing to 1 out of every 5 cars he's putting on that estimate. Maybe either he needs some help, or I need to find out if he's not trying to finish and not trying to sell. We really try to make it possible for you to keep an eye on the total health of your company.
Yeah, absolutely. I like it, man. I'm going to be looking at my reports a little bit more closely on the mobile tech, and try to be a good example and tell you guys what is done down the road.
Especially what you're talking about. You're offering that other service of headlight restoration. Well, that's going to be in your miscellaneous screen. You can see every month, you can go back and check, how much did I sell? How much miscellaneous did I sell? You know, did I sell the polishing? Did I sell those headlights?
I mean, I can't tell you how easy that is to do. I mean, it literally takes me 5 minutes to do a decent job. You know, it's not like what my detailer does, but a lot of people don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great upsell advice.
So, you know, one of my other tech tips is to, if you guys aren't doing Google AdWords or Facebook or YouTube stuff or Instagram is huge right now. But and if you're wondering what to do, just do more of it. That's my tech tip. Do more. What's going to happen is the prices of those things are going to go up. When you see the big companies, Coca-Cola, move from TV,
radio, TV, and print,
big waste of money, they're going to finally catch on. They're going to start getting into to Facebook and Instagram, and all of a sudden you're going to see those prices double and triple. So you better get while the getting is good.
Yeah, that Facebook, Instagram comes right to that device, like we were talking earlier, that device, the most important thing in their world.
Yep.
That ad's right in their face. Well, I don't have so much of a tech tip. You know, we discussed how to get underneath some braces with Power PDR. You guys, work on that. Try that.
That was great, actually, though. That's good stuff.
But I'd like to do a little bit of an update. So some weeks back, we had Jeff Reeb on here with the PDR Finance, and I stepped up. We did not ignore that. That's with me moving all over the country during that whole time frame. You're not sitting in an office. If you're sitting in the office, it's easy to get all the paperwork signed. Also, there is a 48-hour period in the middle of that where before you can give them any money and sign anything they really want, you know, you're supposed to think it over, that sort of stuff. So they've got my money. I got to get with Jeff Reeb. We got to get it up, and we got to get it posted up. So they just deposited today our first $1,000, and they're going to take it out every single month. And
cool.
We'll get it up there with Jeff. I'll get with Jeff. We'll figure out how to get it on the PDR Finance forum and get that where you guys can kind of keep an eye. I know I've had several people reach out to me on Facebook and ask. So
okay.
I just want to throw that update out there. And also, last week's episode, I said, talking about the insurance adjusters, and I said retail, I meant wholesale. When those insurance adjusters that make $75 to $100 a car, they're writing the wholesale car lots when they're out there doing those car lots. I re-listened to the podcast and I said retail on that. So
gotcha.
My bad.
Yeah, we make those little mistakes. I think our audience knows that and forgives us every once in a while.
I think so. Yeah, I met a lot of them in person. They know who.
All right, guys, that brings us to the end of our show. And don't forget to level up your tools.
And don't do stupid stuff.
This has been another episode of PDR Tool Time.